I must admit in Season 1 Jack Porter and his brother Declan are the most boring characters for me. Daniel had at least the fact that his parents were Conrad and Victoria Grayson, and his baggage with his ex-girlfriend Sarah. The Porter boys had the problem that they were always such clichés characters. Poor boys with the only ambition and goal to get the rich girl, who is obviously way beyond the normal standards and unreachable. His younger brother Declan gave it a little more edge with his sarcasm and humor.
Any advice before I drown myself in the ocean? Well, too late. The only thing that can save me now is a pretty girl. You'll do.
Yet Jack was just the normal good guy, like the neat nice neighbor. In Season 2 he only got more interesting because of the things that happened to him and changed his worldview. And in Season 3 they just gave him this terrible backstory that still is one of the most soapy clichés. So let's start with Jack Porter's backstory. In Season 1 it was solid cause. They introduced his dad Clarke-Porter and the money problems he has as owner of a bar and single parent. Their mother left him. So far just a normal modern family. Even that Clarke-Porter has some issues with his drinking is not surprising given the fact that he is living alone with 2 kids and owns a bar with an endless supply of alcohol. The only unusual thing in Jack Porter's life was the disappearance of his childhood crush Amanda Clarke. He never forgot her and even named his boat after her. So Jack is introduced as the most loyal fan of Amanda Clarke and her father David. Though in Season 1 he seems to believe David is guilty.
My old man tried to explain to me that her dad had been arrested. I didn't get it because Mr. Clarke was always such a nice guy. When I was old enough, I started reading everything about it. About how he was responsible for bringing down a whole plane full of people.
Although he has doubts like Nolan. Strange that Nolan did not bring it up. Anyway, he and Declan are the most normal guys in the show. And they seem not that much ambitious despite their interest in unreachable rich girls from the Hamptons. Again, like with Nolan Ross, all the bad things that happen to the Porter boys begin with Emily's return to the Hamptons. First Jack is losing his father and then slowly almost every one of his family. The only disruption, which was again very unnecessary for me, is his father's affair with Conrad Grayson's first wife Stevie Grayson. Major spoiler alert. In Season 3 Jack gets to know that she is his biological mother and Declan only his half-brother. Though he was brought up by a single dad, Jack had a pretty normal and happy life. An experience he shares with little Amanda. Maybe something that bound the 2 kids closer together. 'Cause both children missed a mother figure in their life. If you want to read more in it, what I tend to do, you could say that he idolizes women that much because he lost his mother so early in his life. Which brings us to his character traits. Emily's love interests share some major character traits and issues. All 3 men are most loyal to Emily, even if that changes a bit throughout the seasons. But Jack and Aidan are always coming back to Emily when she needs them. And even Daniel, until their divorce in Season 3, is always drawn back to her. With Jack it is some kind of pathological cause. He seemed to have waited all those years for Amanda to come back like she promised him. Maybe this wish was only in his unconscious mind. But the fact he named his boat Amanda and stayed that long in Montauk, although his girlfriend wanted him to leave with her, makes this case stronger. You can say the boat is just a tribute to a girl who meant the world to him when he was younger. And that he stays to help his father. However, this just makes his loyal and conscientious character even more evident. Jack Porter is definitely someone you can count on for decades. He not only watched after Amanda's dog Sammy like he promised. The dog also became his best friend. Which is kind of sad, too. I never realized how isolated Jack actually is. 'Cause besides his brother Declan he has as much friends as Nolan. But before we get to his relationships we have to define Jack Porter a bit more. His holding on to things and ideas makes him very stubborn, which is maybe his most consistent and annoying character trait. 'Cause if he has made up his mind about someone or something it is hard to change his mind again. Even with good arguments. For example, in Season 2 when he is trying to understand what game Emily is playing. He is so disappointed by her staying with Daniel and seemingly being on the Graysons' side that he thinks now the worst of Emily Thorne.
So it's true? You're really gonna marry Daniel? How could you agree to marry into a family that we both know ruined her life? Emily, I am so tired of all the secrets and the half-truths. You should go be with your new family.
And it is hard for Nolan and Emily to make him see how wrong his assumptions are.
You told Emily. She's practically a Grayson. I trust Emily with my life. So did Amanda. It's time you did too.
Obviously, like Nolan Ross, Jack started very optimistic and naive in Season 1. He did not know anything about the David Clarke conspiracy and even denied its existence when Fauxmanda asked him about it.
Do you have any idea what that guy was getting at when he said the truth about David Clarke?
Well, he's probably just another conspiracy lunatic. A lot of them out there.
Maybe.
He put every woman, especially his girlfriend Fauxmanda and his love interest Emily Thorne, onto a pedestal. And the only one he disliked from the beginning was Daniel Grayson and his family. First, for obvious reasons like them being awfully rich and spoiled. And of course because Daniel was his competitor for Emily. But because Declan dated his sister Charlotte and he became friends with Emily, he tried to get along at least with Daniel Grayson. Showing us a character trait he shares with almost every one of Emily's friends and lovers, a willingness to sacrifice everything for Emily. With Fauxmanda, Jack is the one character who is designed to sacrifice everything he has for Emily. And I always thought he might end up the same as spoiler alert Fauxmanda and Aidan did. Paying the ultimate price for Emily's revengenda. Jack seems to be pathological in this, too. In the pilot he is again sacrificing everything for his father. 'Cause he sells his boat and buries his future plans to help Clarke-Porter keep the bar.
Dad's broke. I sold the boat to keep this albatross going.
All of our assets are right here in this room. Dad, I'm trying to save this place for you.
Like a true Samaritan, he takes Fauxmanda in when she needed a place to crush. And even though she has a crush on her, he did not have to finance her and her new wardrobe. Even though he is not that impressed by Nolan, he is slowly allowing him to become his friend. And do not tell me it is because of the money, cause Jack never showed anything but a humble character. You can surely say he is the opposite of greedy. Why else should he take over his father's bar instead of trying to leave Montic as soon as his father died and start a career of its own? I think that is also my biggest problem with Jack. He lives and does everything for other people and totally forgets about himself. After his father's death he is looking after his brother Declan. When Fauxmanda comes back he is taking her in and caring for her. So he has no goals or life left for himself. More than Nolan, he is always there for others. Which gets even more apparent in season 3 and 4. Why is he not leaving after Fauxmanda and Declan died? Besides his son who could be raised everywhere in the world, he has nothing left. His only motivation, which he shares with Emily, is hate and an obsession to make Conrad Grayson pay.
This man has killed my wife, he's killed my brother. All I've wanted is to find a way to make him pay for something. Anything.
So his motivation mirrors Emily's obsession with Victoria Grayson. He wants now the same thing as Emily, revenge. For me, the second half of season 2, season 3 and 4 are challenging regarding Jack's character. In a way, his heated anger and the total change of his mindset and goals makes him more interesting. But his need to be part of Emily's revengenda also made him really annoying. It is like they are keeping him in a loop. Like they did with Nolan at the beginning of season 1. He constantly tries to prove his worth for Emily and her mission, while Emily is constantly rejecting him and his offer.
Why did you do this?
Because your father was important to me too.
I don't want you involved, Jack. This is my fight, not yours.
Would you just let me help?
No!
They captured really well his grieving process and his lack of understanding how Emily and Nolan behave. Especially regarding the Graysons.
Get out of here, Nolan.
Get out!
Yet I think they never quite addressed his inner conflict and how his motivations and character changed. Those feelings were just there and he turned into this hate and resentful person.
I've been waiting for my moment to make this bastard pay, and it's finally here.
You can't do this. There could be consequences.
You didn't think about that when you lied to me for 2 years?
I mean, in season 1 he even did not want to hurt Nolan's feelings and apologized to Emily and Nolan for the most neglectable things.
I'm sorry to drag you away from the party. I'm really sorry.
Then suddenly he tries to kill Victoria and Conrad Grayson. Constantly lies to his best friends and keeping up a facade like Emily would do to cozy his enemies along.
I realized I can count my true friends on one hand, and the Graysons are among them. So, Victoria, Conrad, thank you. Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Grayson. I'm sure wherever Amanda is right now, she's watching. And smiling.
How did that happen? Again, you can say season 2 showed a total lack of character development. 'Cause the only explanation they gave us is the fact that Fauxmanda is dead and Jack turns his grief into anger. Until he is as much revengeful and full of hatred like Emily. Did they think this parallel development would make him in the end more suitable for Emily? Or should the fact that they showed us this development with the main protagonist should be an excuse for every character on the show to make the same unhealthy decisions for his life? Amanda was a little child and had to endure many traumatic events to get where she is now. Do not get me wrong, losing his brother and wife is not anything but traumatic. However, it is little compared to the trauma Emily had to endure, and Jack was an adult when it happened. He had time to process and a conscious mind that could understand what happened and why. He must have had some kind of inner conflict before he came to the conclusion to take revenge. Why do they not show us? Jack is one of the main characters and throughout the whole show a potential love interest for Emily. And they take not the time to explain to us this major change in character? Sure, he was never a coward. In season 1 he does everything to protect Fauxmanda. He even helps her hiding a body and threatens Victoria to expose her secret affair with David Clarke.
What did you say to Amanda Clarke to make her leave town?
Obviously, you've been misinformed.
As misinformed as David Clarke was when Amanda saw you kissing him? I know you were in love with Amanda's father, but I guess it was more important to hide that from the world than to help the little girl that he left behind.
You have an active imagination.
Who needs imagination? I've seen the videotape. It's no wonder her life turned out as rough as it did, but you could have prevented that, and you did nothing. Nothing. If you don't stop telling lies about Amanda Clarke, I'm gonna start telling the truth about you.
But that is very far from killing someone himself and trying to manipulate other people. Do not get me wrong, I really love this new feisty and stronger Jack. In season 4 when he became a police officer he even improved his fighting skills. In season 1 and 2 he and Nolan were the ones who got beaten and hurt the most.
Should have listened.
Jack had the crap beat out of him.
But there was no process in getting there. They just showed us the changed version and not his way in becoming this in some kind improved version of himself. Sure, he got more competition for Emily's heart with Aiden. And after he got on Grayson's radar and learned about Emily's secret mission, he had to take precautions to protect himself and his family.
Conrad already sent someone. He was here waiting for me when I got home. I gotta get Carl the hell out of here. I gotta take him somewhere safe, and when you're done, I can go get him. And that is the only option that you left me. Because the next guy that Conrad sends might not give me the chance to run.
If he wanted to stay in Montauk with Emily and the Graysons still around, he just had to find the strength to fight back and defend himself. So becoming more careful and prepared was natural. But only in defense, not as an offensive strategy. For most of the time of season 2 and in season 1 Jack Porter was just the opposite of Emily Thorne. He was kind, caring, polite and honest. As if he had conserved his childhood self. Which brings us to the most important figures in Jack's life, Amanda Clarke and Emily Thorne. Even more than Nolan Ross, Jack is obsessed with Amanda Clarke.
Amanda must be some special girl. Well, now that I own her, you want to tell me why you named her Amanda?
Just the girl I knew once.
That's it?
That's it.
Unlike Nolan, who has a reason to watch over Amanda, David's last wish was for him to take care of his daughter. Jack just cannot forget her and the feelings he had all those years. I must admit I cannot relate to that. Especially because Amanda disappeared for that long time. Until Fauxmanda came back and pretended to be Amanda. Jack had never heard of her. It is natural on Amanda's part still clinging to Jack. Cause all she does is obsession about the past and hanging on to these last happy moments of her childhood. So her dog Sammy and her childhood friend Jack are still important constants in her life. But besides Sammy and naming his boat after a girl he once knew, Jack has no ties to Amanda. She never contacted him through all these years. And as we saw in that flashback episode, he obviously got at least one girlfriend during that time Amanda was not in his life. So where comes this obsession from? Okay, there was this scandal around her father David Clarke and her for a kid mysterious vanishing. But for me that are not enough good reasons for obsessing about a girl he just knew one summer. Yet I guess we must accept that she left such a deep mark.
This is the girl you met on the beach. This is the girl that you named your boat after. You two belong together.
So Fauxmanda and Emily Thorne are truly the most important persons in his life. And both have disappointed him deeply and left him. Amanda twice unwillingly. First when she was brought to her new foster home.
Say goodbye, Amanda.
I'll come back for you. I promise. I promise I'll come back for you.
Grown-up Amanda aka Emily Thorne always left him willingly, so I guess the borderline disorder Fauxmanda had to cope with has left some issues with Jack, too.
Not until you tell me the truth. Why'd you come back here? Was it for me? Was it for something else? I want to see what was worth throwing everything we had away.
And second, when she died. He surely hates Emily for everything she put him through. If she had not changed her identity, he maybe never had fallen in love with Fauxmanda and had not to cope with her loss. He lost his wife and brother because of Emily's vendetta with the Graysons.
Did Amanda get what she deserved? Did Declan? Because they know what Amanda Clarke was trying to do to them. They just killed the wrong girl.
And when she told him who she really was, she destroyed not only the memory of his wife, but also his childhood fantasy of Amanda Clarke.
Who are you?
Jack.
No, I keep telling myself I don't want to know. Like, maybe I'm trying to protect myself or you, but the more I see, the more I wonder what happened to that little girl that I met on the beach.
What happened to her?
Yet at the same time he is still in love with Amanda and Emily. In season 1, before he knew anything about her, he was drawn to Emily from the start. Sure, because she was beautiful and always nice to him.
Well, I wanted to bring you this.
What is it?
It's an old mariner's compass.
You didn't have to do that.
No, I wanted to say thank you for fixing the swing.
I'm still pretty embarrassed about that.
Don't be. Friends?
Friends.
She was one of the few rich people who never overlooked him, or worse, looked down at him. So like Daniel, he felt instantly in love with her. So far a common trope with female protagonists, who treasure such a outward and inward beauty that everyone has to fall in love with her. Yet there is more to their story. 'Cause in his first love confession, Jack reveals what Emily's secret is. She is mysterious.
Ever since I first saw you, I knew there was something about you, and I couldn't put my finger on it.
Again, I must admit that season 1 works best for them. This love triangle between Emily, Daniel and Jack before Fauxmanda came is a safe bank. And becoming friends instead of lovers seemed fitting with Fauxmanda staying. Which is the whole problem here. Jack and Emily often said it themselves in season 3 and 4. Aiden and Fauxmanda were major roadblocks for a romantic relationship of the two.
After Aiden...
I know things got complicated since then with Aiden and Amanda, but I never stopped feeling that way when I was around you.
Unlike Emily's and Daniel's relationship, who was not only fake but like every on-off relationship always at the brink of falling apart, Jack and Fauxmanda seemed very happy as a married couple. And even when they had their problems and fought in season 2, there was no doubt that Jack would stay with her. Not only because of the child but because he truly loved her. The same can be said about Emily and Aiden. Despite his remark he was not like Nolan, he always came back when Emily needed him. So when Emily and Jack had their first big fight after Fauxmanda's death and he did not want to have anything to do with her, it was hard to imagine how they could maintain even a friendship.
Jack?
On top of all the misery, to find out that you were lying to me too. You didn't just know each other, you were like sisters.
It was a part of my past I didn't want anyone to know about.
Why? Didn't want to tarnish your perfect image?
Jack,
Actually, you know what? I don't want to hear it. Emily, you're Carl's godmother. If you knew, I can't believe you would let Amanda put herself, all of us, in that kind of danger.
Jack, I am so sorry about everything.
I don't have time for this.
I mean, they had to flesh out this conflict, cause otherwise Jack would have appeared pretty much dumb at least.
I was married to Amanda, and you were supposed to be her best friend. How could you agree to marry into a family that we both know ruined her life?
Emily, I am so tired of all the secrets and the half-truths. You should go be with your new family.
We also see a transmission here. 'Cause Jack does the same Emily did with the conspiracy around her father. First, when she believed all that lies she was told as a child about her father, she naturally hated him and herself.
When you and Amanda were in juvie, what was the opinion she had of her father? I got her foster brother here saying the entire time he knew her, she hated her dad.
My father was a murderer and a liar. Destruction's in my DNA. Take it up with Darwin.
After knowing he was innocent, Emily transmitted all that anger to the group of people who were originally responsible.
They framed my father, and unless somebody does something about it, they will never get what they deserve. One way or another, these people are gonna pay. They're gonna pay for what they did.
Jack cannot hate Fauxmanda for endangering their family and what she did for Emily, cause she is dead. And unconscious, he surely does not want to destroy her legacy as the beloved mother of his son. So he has to find a target for his rage. First of all, Conrad Grayson, who ordered the death of his wife and brother. And Emily, because she is the mastermind behind the vendetta against the Graysons. So his outburst in season 3 tells us all the drama of this complicated love triangle.
And you're just now saying this? Why wait till now? I know it's because you were just too busy protecting your plan. But look at what you've become. And who you're turning me into. You are so selfish. You use everyone who cares about you. You've taken everything from me.
I think they really missed in season 2 and 3 to flesh out this complicated relationship Jack has with Emily. Far more complicated than his love for Fauxmanda. With Amanda Clarke, he just precedes this innocent and happy childhood fantasy.
What I remember is a feeling I didn't have a word for yet. But when I was old enough to recognize it as love, you were gone. But that feeling stayed with me. You were always in my heart. You'll be in my life forever.
Surely a grown-up version calls they have now a family of their own. And instead of acting out a marriage, are truly a married couple with all benefits and duties. His relationship with Emily has more layers. Even before he knows her true identity, Jack admires her from the start and, like Nolan, seems to be the only one who can see through her fake persona. He shares her obsession with the past and conserving history.
I hope you're not planning on tearing it down and building yourself something like that.
Oh, no, not at all. This house stays exactly the same.
Good. It's nice to know there's somebody else out there with an appreciation for history.
He knows not only out of personal motives that Daniel is not the right partner for her, 'cause she is far more than just a pretty face and some rich girl that would pursue to marry a Grayson because all of the benefits such a lifestyle as a Grayson wife. In season 3 and 4 there comes a new layer. Regret, compassion and most obvious bitterness. More than assuming Emily staying on the Graysons' side because of her relationship with Daniel. Emily deceived him with her lies and her willingness to play with Jack's and Fauxmanda's life in that kind of way.
I know Amanda deserved better from me. I just hope that one day you can understand why I needed to do this.
If she just decided to support her boyfriend and his family, this would have been out of love. That was something Jack could accept, I think. But bringing all this hurt, pain and loss into his life out of selfish motives was just not right. More than once he calls Emily out on her selfishness.
You are so selfish. You use everyone who cares about you. Is that how you work? You manipulate what you know of people to get what you want?
You really refuse to accept responsibility, don't you? Tell me, when exactly did punishing the guilty become more important to you than helping the innocent?
I think because he is so selfless and cares that much about others, it is not only hard to understand why Emily is so self-centered and egoistic. It is just such a far cry of the girl he knew all these years. Emily's new character destroyed the perfect image he had of Amanda. So with Emily Thorne, his fantasy and reality just clash. He cannot let go of his childhood love, but at the same time he cannot find her in Emily anymore.
Because had I not told you the truth, who I really am, maybe you wouldn't hate me right now.
I could never hate you, and not for lack of trying.
So Amanda died twice for Jack. First with the death of Fauxmanda and second with the revelation of who Amanda Clarke is now. So in a way Nolan was right when he warned Emily that she cannot take Amanda away from him again. Just not in that sense, he meant it after the funeral.
I wanted to tell him the truth. He deserves that.
Someday, maybe. Right now, regardless of how he feels, you can't take Amanda away from him again.
Which brings us to Jack's most important friend, Nolan Ross. Besides the pilot, who was strange on many ways for Nolan's character.
Captain Porter!
Welcome back, Nolan. What can I do for you?
Need a boat for the summer. This one will do. How much you want for Amanda?
Thought you hated the ocean.
I spent a lot of time and money working through that, amongst other things, so I'm buying a boat.
Just not this one.
Amanda must be some special girl.
Can I help you with something?
You don't like me much, do you?
One more thing for you to work through, I guess.
By the way, I am happy that they changed things in the following episodes. For example, his attempts to flirt with Ashley.
What's your hurry, party planner?
Nolan, there must be 100 women here who would love to play your little games. I, however, am not one of them. Excuse me.
And of course Jack hating Nolan. Okay, they started not that good with Nolan trying to bribe Jack's friendship.
What's up is you never return my calls.
I'm sorry, Gilligan. We're done hanging out.
What if I said I'd give you your boat back at the end of the season?
You're saying that if I pretend to be your friend, you'll give me my boat back free and clear?
Well, I see it'd be better if you didn't have to pretend, but that's the gist.
A strange idea even for a character like Nolan. But soon they became best buddies. Which is a total cliché, but not as far-fetched as you would imagine. Think about it. Nolan is obsessed with David and Amanda Clarke. And everything related to them. So why should he not try to establish a relationship to the only person who knew David and Amanda before the downing of Flight 197? He cannot get close to the Graysons. Because that would have aroused suspicion, and asking questions about Amanda could have endangered Emily or her plans. So Nolan had to turn to Jack. On Jack's side, Nolan sends the same positive vibes as Emily. He is clearly not looking down at him like most billionaires would do. And since Nolan is that needy for a friend, he is the perfect fit for our Good Samaritan Jack. As always, Jack helps the ones in need. And Nolan is in need of a true and loyal friend.
This seat's always open for friends.
I'm your friend, Nolan.
Plus he helps him to get close to Emily.
Can a guy hang with his broheim?
No, and don't ever call me that. I'm just not her type.
You're everyone's type. Well, you can't wait for this girl to come to you. Trust me, I know her. You are now competing for an elite piece of Hampton's tail, and with a Grayson, no less. Unless you don't really think she's worth it.
So this friendship is a win for both. Nolan gets a new lead on Emily and gets first-hand information about little Amanda. I am sure off-screen he is asking Jack out about what he still knows. And at the beginning of season 1, when Jack is trying to become Emily's new boyfriend, Nolan as her friend seems to be the best help in getting the girl of his dreams.
Jack and Emily sitting in a tree.
Really?
Naturally their relationship goes through the same stages like the one with Emily. Besides the brief romantic encounters, of course. I mean, we only get 2 kisses in 3 seasons. Very disappointing for a major love interest. Anyway, they start as friends.
You've been a really good friend. Probably one of my only.
Becoming estranged because of Fauxmanda's death and Nolan having to withhold important information from Jack. Until they become friends again. Like Emily, Nolan does everything to protect Jack. Which brings him in conflict with Emily, cause the one thing Jack would need after the death of his wife and brother he cannot give him, the truth. So Jack feels deceived by both of his closest friends. And I still think how he overcomes his feelings speaks much about his character as well as his relationships. Nolan wins his friend status back very quick. And while Jack seems to break with Emily, he never told Nolan that he wants not to see him anymore.
You don't owe me anything. You're gonna be a Grayson. And frankly, I don't want anyone from that family around my son.
The first half of season 3 he holds a grudge for Emily but seems totally fine with Nolan. Even though he betrayed him in the same way.
What are you doing here?
Practicing.
Practicing what? Lying through my teeth like you and Emily. I'm done listening to you. If you or Emily were my real friends, you would have told me the truth in the beginning. You wouldn't be here, rubbing elbows with the people responsible for her death.
Yet her betrayal stings more. Maybe because of his feelings for her. So Jack is very much in denial and unsure about his actual feelings for Emily. In season 1 and 2 it was clear that they could be nothing more than friends. And with Fauxmanda around, Jack seemed to accept that. He only broke that pattern when Fauxmanda was gone.
Emily, I want you to know the last time I saw you, I had no idea that Amanda was coming back, let alone that she was pregnant. I would never do something like that to you.
After she left him the first time, he kissed Emily and had a brief time to dream about their future as a romantic couple.
That just leaves Jack?
I can't think of anything I'd like more. I'm here, so come by whenever you're ready.
And Nolan drove him with his mating attempts even further into this direction.
Toying with Jack's heart, buying his boat.
In season 3, after Fauxmanda's death, he clearly tried to find out what of his feelings are left for Emily and also wanted to punish her with the false expectations that Kiss aroused for Emily.
But I didn't know how I felt about you till this moment. And I'm sorry, I just don't feel anything. But it's just me and Carl now. Leave us alone.
So unlike Nolan, who got his forgiveness very quick, Emily had to fight for it. And nearly died before Jack got over himself. I think the prospect of losing Amanda yet again and Emily forever changed the dynamic once again.
You are the toughest, most annoyingly bullheaded person on the planet. I'll admit that there have been times I never wanted to see you again, but we've had a lot of fights this summer, actually. It's my fault. I've been holding on to all that pain and anger and putting that on you. It's not fair. I'm so sorry.
But back to Jack's other relationships. Until season 2, his brother Declan was the only family Jack had left, and throughout season 2 we can see how much both brothers care for each other. Their changing dynamic in this season was something on the short list of improvements and things they made right in season 2.
Looks like you threw yourself one hell of a pity party last night.
Watch it.
I am. Watching it. I don't like what I see. You know, ever since Amanda came back, you have been pushing further and further away.
In season 1 they start as typical older and younger brother duo, whose untimely father's death bind them closer together. Jack becomes Declan's guardian and is trying to keeping him out of trouble. Which gets more and more complicated when Declan keeps pursuing Charlotte Clarke, the daughter of Victoria Grayson. She arouses and strengthens Declan's ambition to get out of his current situation. Like any small-town teenager with no fortune and money, he wants to see the world and is full of ambition. A true contrast to his older brother who likes to play it safe. Declan takes more risks and cannot understand why his brother is content with his little life. Fauxmanda getting pregnant and becoming Jack's wife changed the dynamics. Declan felt like a literal burden cause they needed more space for the child. And the conflicts between his brother and Fauxmanda spread into the brothers' relationship. For the first time, Declan did not look up to his older brother and saw a similarity between the sad life of their father and Jack's future. Like Nolan with Emily, Declan was the one who called out the ugly truth in season 2. Would have been interesting to know what he had to say about Emily after season 2. Especially when he got to know about the whole truth about the Graysons and Emily's true identity. Would he encourage Jack to help Emily? Would he tell Jack to stay away from her? Or would he have been okay with Jack and Emily becoming more than friends? I can understand why Declan's death was crucial for story and character development in season 3. Like Aiden's death, it gave Jack a reason for revenge and fueled the anger towards the Graysons.
What you deserve is to explain to your grandchild why he doesn't have a father. What you deserve is to live a very long, very painful, tortured life, unlike your husband.
Still, his death left a gap. Especially for Charlotte, who became one of the 2 important female figures in season 3 for Jack. Funny that after the death of his father and brother, Jack had almost only women around him. Like the writers were trying to make it up for him lacking a mother figure in his childhood days. And losing the first love and wife. Before Declan died, Charlotte and Jack's relationship were not close. He merely tolerated her as his brother's girlfriend. Yet in season 2 he showed conflicting and inconsistent feelings. Cause when Fauxmanda tried to establish a relationship to her half-sister, he almost forbid it with hint to her being a Grayson.
My brother is the most important person in my life to me, so I get that you'd like to build a relationship with your sister. It was wrong of me to try to control your relationship with the Graysons.
A very paternalistic and strange step for Jack. Yes, he just wants to protect his family, but after his revelation in season 1 and the big reveal that David Clarke is Charlotte's real father, he must have seen her in another light. Yet in this season it seems as if he had totally forgotten about that. Only after their mutual loss they become real close. He feels compassion for that girl who almost became his family. Cause like Jack himself, Declan surely would have done the right thing and married the girl who was pregnant with his child. I still cannot come around why they gave us this side plot in season 2 only to kill both of them off. First Declan and later Charlotte's baby. This made the whole sequence pointless. And if it had any potential, they killed it very quick in only 1 episode. What I like in their relationship in season 3 is Jack's dilemma and mirroring David's request from Nolan. Like David asked Nolan to watch over his daughter Amanda. Emily is asking Jack to look after Charlotte. The only difference, while David is not able to care for his daughter, Emily is totally able to take care of her half-sister. The only thing that is keeping her is her revengenda and maybe being afraid of telling Charlotte the truth and how she would react. Anyway, she puts Jack, like Nolan before, in an impossible situation. He cannot choose to whom he will be loyal, so he tries to be as loyal as he can to both women.
I hate myself for going along with this.
I'm worried about her.
Well, so am I, but what can I do? You're the source of most of her pain, unless you're here to give me permission to tell her the truth.
I can't do that, Jack.
You really refuse to accept responsibility, don't you? She's your sister.
Charlotte's the only family I have, which is why I appreciate you taking her in, caring for her. All the things that I wish I could do that I can't. Not right now, not the way I want to.
I know Emily's safety and her importance to him weighs more.
Because I care about the innocent person locked up in there.
You're not just here for Charlotte. You're worried about Emily.
But again, Charlotte falls by the wayside. Regarding how much she is helping Jack in season 3 with the stowaway and regarding his son Carl, that is not fair. Jack's guilty conscience must have eaten him up every time he looks at Charlotte and cannot tell her the truth. This surely fueled his anger not only towards Emily's side. Him trying to hurt Conrad by setting his daughter against him was his way of telling Charlotte some truth.
You knew about the bomb that killed Declan.
Who told you that? Charlotte, wait. There's something you need to know.
And getting at least a little relief. Like Emily, who do not kill Victoria. He wants to see Conrad pay and hurt. Interesting is that Jack has in the end the same ties to the Graysons as Emily. Charlotte is Victoria's daughter and Emily's half-sister. Jack is tied to her through his wife Fauxmanda and his brother Declan. And like David, who was Victoria's lover, Jack's mother Stevie Grayson mirrors that relationship as Conrad's first wife.
I'm the first Mrs. Grayson.
Well, you know what they say. Nothing beats the original.
I think so too.
If you can live with this soapy cliches, I think Stevie was the greatest addition to the cast in season 3. I love her character and the depths of her despair with that alcohol problem and the guilt of leaving her only child behind. I know it is a total cliches, but unlike Victoria's backstory with Patrick, it feels more authentic. which has a lot to do with Gail O'Grady's performance. Playing Moma Bear in Season 4 and standing up against Emily were truly my favorite moments with her character. Even though she can be annoying, a character trait she shares with her son Jack. I must admit her relationship with Emily is far more interesting than the one with her son.
Emily Grayson, why don't you tell me who you really are? I think David Clarke was innocent.
Did you ever do anything about it?
I tried. I even met with him once. A few days later, I was pulled over and blew a .14. Conrad had set me up, and a DUI is grounds for disbarment.
And if he was willing to go that far, at least you know you were onto something.
I will talk more about her in another character study I have reserved for the three mothers in Revenge: Marion Harper, Victoria's mother; Cara Wallace Clarke, Amanda's mother; and Stevie. For the show and most of the time in Season 3, Stevie is yet another needy character who has to be taken care of and saved by Jack. We truly have a pattern here.
How's Stevie?
Grayson's really hurt her.
Jack, I'm so sorry.
I know.
So I enjoyed when they finally turned it around in Season 4 and gave Stevie a chance to make it right and at least one kind of a hero moment.
Not only is Jack Porter a loving father, he's also a decorated law enforcement officer with lifelong ties to this very county. I move that he be released on his own recognizance. I will never unduly separate a child from their parent. And because this is his first offense, I'm releasing him.
The last relationships I will talk about are reserved for Jack's enemies. Since this side plot was most annoying in the second season and there is not much to say about their very stereotyped characters, I will not talk about the Ryan brothers. But the Graysons, especially Conrad Grayson, play almost as much of a big role in Jack's life as in Emily's. And after Season 2 he has as much reasons to hate them and take revenge like Emily does.
You wouldn't be here, rubbing elbows with the people responsible for her death.
The very people she came here to destroy.
On the surface the Graysons play no role in Jack's and Fauxmanda's life. In Season 1 Victoria is even not sure if Fauxmanda truly is who she claims to be.
If she's indeed David's daughter, so far I'm not impressed. All I can see is a pretty girl with cheap shoes and limited social graces. The strawberries were picked fresh from my garden this morning.
Delicious.
So you're no longer allergic. I remember a company picnic where one bite sent you straight to the emergency room. Your father was beside himself.
Fortunately, I outgrew that.
Actually, when I come to think of it, I'm not all that certain that little girl is you. There's no way that girl is David Clarke's daughter.
Only when Jack gets to know the truth about the affair between David Clarke and Victoria Grayson he starts hating the Graysons for what they had done to Amanda.
As misinformed as David Clarke was when Amanda saw you kissing him, I know you were in love with Amanda's father, but I guess it was more important to hide that from the world than to help the little girl that he left behind. It's no wonder her life turned out as rough as it did, but you could have prevented that, and you did nothing. Nothing. If you don't stop telling lies about Amanda Clarke, I'm gonna start telling the truth about you.
Since he poses no real threat for the Graysons, he is not on their radar besides his connection to Amanda. Victoria merely using him to get to Amanda is something she specializes in. When she tries to make Daniel break up with Emily, she even uses him as Emily's love interest, which obviously was more something for the fans of that relationship than a long-lasting strategy.
Conrad is convinced that Jack Porter is responsible, and I fear that he may be right.
Why are you telling me this?
Charlotte mentioned that you still frequent his bar, and I would hate for you to get caught in Conrad's line of fire, especially so close to the wedding.
You just played right into Victoria's hands. She fed you that information hoping that you'd run straight to Jack instead of standing by Daniel as you're supposed to.
But in Season 2 Jack lands on Conrad's radar. First, just because he stands in the way of a business deal. Second, because of Fauxmanda's fatal failure trying to blackmail Conrad.
Where did you get this?
It's not important. The fact that I have it is. You're selling your share of the stowaway back to Jack. Now, you never, ever utter the name Porter again. Or I promise I will take a wrecking ball to every bit of this pathetic excuse for a life you've chosen.
For me, the scene in which Conrad visits Jack in the hospital after he only got to know seconds ago about Fauxmanda's death is the most significant between the two.
I assure you it wasn't my intent to interrupt you in your hour of grief.
You can stop pretending I know why you're really here. The administrator just told me you offered to pay my hospital bill.
One of the last things you need to be grappling with right now is a steep financial blow.
You're very generous.
Tragedy has a way of bringing out our better angels.
I don't know how I can ever repay you.
And one of the best for Nick Wechsler, who portrayed Jack Porter. It sets the tone for the relationship until the rest of the season. This key moment marks Jack's evolution from a grieving husband to a revenger like Emily. In retrospect, this looks more organic and natural than back then. 'Cause from now on he is not just hating the Graysons for what they did. Jack is working actively to get payback. First alone, later with Nolan's and Emily's help. If they would have gone all in, this could have been a real heroic and tragic story. The husband dying, revenging his wife's murder. Yet he mirrors in some kind Emily's final pattern from season 4.
Killing her would. Death for Victoria would be merciful. She has nothing left. Now is the time to let her suffer.
With Victoria, he does not want to pull the trigger, cause he wants her to suffer more.
No. What you deserve is to live a very long, very painful, tortured life.
And before he can shoot Conrad, Emily stops him. The same happens to Emily. She always tells us that the Graysons should live to suffer more.
The kind of punishment I came here for had nothing to do with prison.
And when she finally is able to pull the trigger, her father is faster. So we will never know if both were truly capable of cold-blooded murder. I myself am not sure if Emily would have truly pulled the trigger in the finale. She seemed determined but also hesitated long. Maybe to enjoy the moment more? Who knows? Yet Jack seemed even more determined but also hesitated long, though no one can hate the Graysons as much as Emily. Jack is coming really close. Opposite to Emily, and out of personal reasons he is hating Conrad more.
You and I will never be good.
In season 3 he always tells us and Emily he wants Conrad to pay. Maybe because he knows Victoria belongs to Emily. Or does he think Emily can punish Victoria better than he can? Maybe he is reluctant because she is a woman and Charlotte's mother. After all, Conrad is not Charlotte's biological father and she hates him as much as she despises her mother.
You disgust me.
Anyway, Victoria seems to play no big role in his revenge fantasies. In season 4 he even protects Victoria when he tells Emily she would arrest her if she hurts Victoria.
If Victoria turns up hurt, or worse, I will arrest you.
So after his outburst in season 2 and 3, Jack is going back to his true self. Being less heat-hearted and more calm and just. Partly he has to cause of his new job as a cop. And because he has seen where Emily's revenge path leads to. At the beginning of season 4, Emily has lost almost everyone she cared about. She can only hope to establish a relationship with her half-sister Charlotte after all she put her through and all of her lies.
She's the only family I have, and one way or another I will make it better.
So unlike Emily, it seemed as if Jack had learned his lesson and made the best out of his second chance for a better life. It is reasonable for Stevie to warn him that Emily would only drag him down with her. And until the end it was more than likely that he would be the last casualty in Emily's war with Victoria. Like with Nolan and Emily, it is hard to find defining episodes and moments cause there are so many. Jack is one of the main cast and every time around. If he is not involved in the main plot, he is attached to Fauxmanda. Their happy moments in season 1 and true surely are little islands of hope in this more and more dark show. I love the theme with this sea glass, and though they established it to find a new connection between Jack and Amanda after Sammy's death, this will always be a significant connection between Jack and Fauxmanda.
I wanted to surprise you too, so I looked for the sea glass we buried, but couldn't find it anywhere. Where did you find that?
Right where you left it. I dug it up the day after social services took you away, and I've kept it ever since.
That is so incredible.
But let's go back to beginning with season 1. I love the pilot with Sammy running over to Emily. And as silly as it is, the underlining theme that the dog is recognizing her and leading Jack to Emily.
You know what? I really got to explain this again. Come here.
Come here, Sammy. I found a sticker for you.
What's his name?
Sam.
I'm Jack.
I'm Amanda.
Where are you going? Get back here. What are you doing? Sammy!
Sam?
Sammy! Sammy! Get down! What's the matter with you? Sorry, he's not normally this friendly. He's kind of an old grump, actually. Alrighty then.
The love triangle with Daniel and later Fauxmanda was painful to watch. Not only because you feel for Jack and Emily, who obviously want to be together but cannot. Also because I never bought this soulmate connection between the two. He knows her 2 seconds and has more than a crush on her. Even tries to make her break up with her current boyfriend, even though he is not the typical womanizer.
I'm seeing Daniel. I thought you knew that.
I know, and normally I wouldn't do anything like this. But I feel like this feeling
Comes along once or twice in a lifetime if we're lucky. Tell me I'm alone in this. Tell me I'm alone in this, and I won't bother you again.
I'm so sorry, Jack.
So as crazy as their relationship started, him dating Fauxmanda was far more plausible than being with Emily. Not because they are out of different worlds, like is pointing out when she talks about him and Margot. Fauxmanda seems more fitting because she is challenging Jack with her very sensual and wild side.
No, actually, I envy you. You're spontaneous and fun. You get that gene that allows you to leap without looking. I wish I was more like that.
And she is not that much manipulative as Emily. She only lies to him when she believes it is best for him and their relationship. Not out of selfish motives or a hidden agenda. So in a way Jack can trust her. And she definitely is no threat for him. A turning point for Emily's relationship with Jack was surely the kiss at the end of season 1. In a way, the death of Sammy was a signal for both to let go of their childhood fantasies. Emily thought she could have finally a future with Jack. And Jack was ready to leave Amanda behind.
That feels like the only part of me left hanging on. I was gonna be buried with him.
Maybe Sammy knew it was time for you to let go.
Maybe that's why I jumped up on you in the park that day. Why I kept running over to your house. It was leading me to you.
With Fauxmanda returning, that changed everything. So the most defining moment for Jack characters was Amanda's return pregnant with his child.
Sammy was my dog after all.
Amanda?
Jack and I are gonna have a baby.
Congratulations.
The first half of season 2 was terrible, especially because of the dull side plots with the Porter boys. And Fauxmanda being involved in Emily's quest to find her mother. The only things standing out were Jack's most happy day with him and Fauxmanda marrying, and the most sad with her death during their honeymoon.
To celebrate the union of our dear friends, Jack Porter and Amanda Clarke.
This just goes to show how long this was coming. When we were kids, Amanda and I actually acted out this day. She made me this ring out of a pipe cleaner, and she insisted, which looked a little something like this. With this ring, you'll be in my life forever.
Jack Porter, you are the most incredible person I know. The most kind and loving and generous.
I would say I don't deserve you, but if you've taught me one thing, it's that
everyone deserves love. With this ring, I promise to cherish you and to honor you from this day forward until the end of time.
Almost there. And now, by the power vested in me, I hereby pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss the bride.
Let me give you some free marital advice, JP. She's only going to tell you more lies, because that's what wives do. They screw you over.
I wasn't talking to you. Is it true? You're just using me the whole time?
Jack, I can explain everything.
Oh, by the book.
Jack, please.
How could you do this to me? To our child? You're unbelievable.
I'm gonna let you two fight it out.
Out of my way. You're just using me to get even with the Graysons?
Jack, when I first came to town, I didn't expect to get together with you, but I did.
Blackmailing Conrad Grayson? Threatening to kill a man while I was in prison? What kind of person are you? What kind of mother are you?
I did all of that for you. For us. And Carl, look, Jack, you've given my life meaning. I love you, Jack. You have to believe that. Jack!
What are you doing?
Saving you.
Amanda?
I love you, Jack.
No? Amanda? No!
So again, the most significant moments for Jack are related to Amanda. To make his sorrow complete, he is losing his brother Declan. Again, a lost opportunity to show us no real goodbye between the brothers. Jack gets only a farewell video message Nolan recorded for his younger brother.
All right. Where's my brother? I want to see him.
His artery ruptured.
Where is he?
He's gone, Jack.
Which should have been a big moment was Emily's reveal. Again, they not used its full potential by making us believe we would come back there in season 3. Yet they gave us another time jump and no flashback to the moments after this.
Emily, go away. This has nothing to do with you.
It has everything to do with me. Don't throw your life away because of the choices that I've made.
What choices? What are you talking about?
Jack, look at me. Deep down inside, you've always known the truth. I'm Amanda Clarke.
The only moment in season 2 Jack really owned was his confrontation with Victoria.
My brother's dead.
Oh, Jack, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, it wasn't me. You betrayed me. You used me, and then you tried to get rid of me.
Conrad,
Stop lying!
Do it. I deserve it.
What you deserve is to explain to your grandchild why he doesn't have a father. What you deserve is to live a very long, very painful, tortured life, unlike your husband.
In season 3, I must admit Jack was my least favorite character. His anger and bitterness were annoying, because it seemed as if the sole focus of his rage was Emily. He was not culpable for his loss, and like she said herself, she lost Amanda, too, literally and figuratively, because of her identity change. So in season 3, like Emily and Jack themselves, I had a hate-love relationship with Jack. For example, I still love the little calm moments between them, like sitting together at the Hollywood swing when he grabs her hand.
And Jack? Thanks for giving me a chance to. Means a lot.
Or when Margot is seeing Jack comforting Emily after she told him she broke up with Aiden.
If you want to be happy when this is all over, you need to tell him.
I can't.
The Emily Thorne that I know can do anything.
Last but not least, after she has been shot and Jack visits her in hospital.
If it's any consolation, you are the strongest person I have ever known. You are the toughest, most annoyingly bullheaded person on the planet.
And of course he is the one who brings back her memory with Fauxmanda's necklace. I do not know if it was planned that way, but more than showing us a deep connection between Emily and Jack, this scene underlined her strong connection with Fauxmanda.
Come back to us, Emily Thorne.
But more than this little moments, their big fights stand out. First, his ultimatum that sets the space for the first half of the season.
I'm not killing anybody, Jack. But I will let them suffer. These are terrible people doing terrible things. This is what they deserve.
Did Amanda get what she deserved? Did Declan? Will I, once the Graysons start connecting dots, because they know what Amanda Clarke was trying to do to them. They just killed the wrong girl.
Yeah, you're right.
Finish this by the end of the summer, then leave for good. I'll tell everyone the truth.
Then their fights over Aiden and Emily's revengenda in general.
You'll never have to see Aiden again. He's leaving with Emily.
Why didn't you tell me?
You knew I was leaving.
But the guy who tried to strong-arm me out of town? You conveniently left that part out.
You gave me a deadline to end this. You don't get to pass judgment about what I do when it's done. What do you want, Jack?
I want to know that you know what you're doing.
Of course I do.
Would you even tell me if you didn't? You were always secretive. And I realize now it's because you're afraid.
What?
Of letting people in.
You know, maybe I was a lot smarter then. Because had I not told you the truth, who I really am, maybe you wouldn't hate me right now.
I could never hate you. And not for lack of trying.
And to be honest, you don't know me. Not anymore.
You're right.
You want to know what I used to wish for? That nothing would ever change.
Who are you?
Jack.
No, I keep telling myself I don't want to know. Like, maybe I'm trying to protect myself or you, but the more I see, the more I wonder what happened to that little girl that I met on the beach.
What happened to her? She lost everything, Jack. How do you not get that?
I know about loss, Emily. Believe me. But that doesn't explain what you're doing.
Though he did not help as much as Aiden and Nolan. I loved those episodes when Jack was actively involved in Emily's revengenda. Especially her takedown of Luke Gilliam.
So this is your new target?
He runs a clean gas company, but it's a sham. The chemicals he uses are toxic. They get into the water, poison the ground.
Let me guess. His wells don't end up in towns like the Hamptons.
Oh, these people don't have the means to fight back. This guy has been untouchable. Look, you know I don't like you involved in any of this.
But I am. Especially after what happened to my mom. I'm all in.
Let's do this.
Believe me, I'm the victim here. You're full of crap. I got family that lives near one of your wells. The ground is poisoned. People can't drink the water. How do you live with yourself? You've got an answer for everything, don't you?
Excuse me, but you're wrong. Mr. Gilliam has won every single case ever brought against him. That's 30 trials in 12 states. So maybe you should dig a little deeper than liberal propaganda before you attack someone's character.
For the first time, she let someone else as Nolan do the honor. Which tells us a lot about where Jack and Emily stand right now. In season 4, after Aiden's death, it was only natural that Jack would play a bigger role. But like many viewers, I was very much disappointed when they did everything to keep Emily and Jack still apart. First, her unnecessary flirt with his partner Ben. And later, Emily's reluctance to finally accept Jack's offering.
I know about you and Ben. You have to know if there's someone out there who's a better fit for you. I have one certainty in my life, Emily. And that is how I feel about you. It's always been you. From the moment Sammy ran up to you that day.
I don't know what to say. You know how much I care about you.
But what?
I can't, Jack. I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna wait around.
The only thing I really enjoyed was his hero moment when he saved Emily out of his burning bar, and later when he shot Kate, keeping her from shooting Emily.
You okay? What happened?
She was inside.
Okay. She was...
I got you.
And you open your eyes? Check your toes.
Otherwise they repeat the pattern from season 3. Emily and Jack disagree and fight over almost everything.
Get your head together. Grieve. It's what humans do.
Jack, just worry about yourself. My head is just fine.
What are you really doing here?
I told you I was worried.
About me? Or that I might blow a fuse and tell one of these camera crews everything I've done?
Jack, I've gotten away with bigger things than this.
No one knows that better than me. Let it go, Ems.
Ending with both keeping away from each other yet always drawn back together.
Jack, I don't want things to be like this between us.
How should they be, Emily?
I think from Jack's point of view, leaving the Hamptons and Emily behind was the best decision in his life, and coming back the biggest failure. 'Cause he had finally the chance to break Emily's spell.
As soon as I'm done here, I'm on the next flight back to LA. Goodbye, Amanda.
The rushed reuniting with sex scene, wedding and boat kiss was perfectly romantic, but left a sour taste for me. Because the hard work begins after they are back from their honeymoon. Which could have been great stuff for a 5th season, or even a spin-off show with Nolan Ross as its protagonist. Jack and Emily just being guest stars. I myself would have liked to see Emily's problems with a normal family life. Like, what is Carl's view on all this? Sure, he was too little to remember his mother. But would he be happy with his surrogate mother Amanda? And how would Emily cope with her trauma? Her nightmare about Victoria indicates that she has not closed with her past yet. Will she still miss Aiden, who was obviously the most important man in her life after her father for a long time? What will she do when someone crosses her or Jack? Or if Carl has problems with other kids in school? Will the red Sharpie return? Is Emily working on her anger issues with a therapist? What could be a profession or new hobby for her? Sure, she still is wealthy and both would have not the need to go to work. But Jack would surely try to find a new profession instead of just looking after Carl and playing houseman. And Emily would be as bored as him, just staying home and keeping the household. What do you think about Amanda's and Jack's future? Will they be happy? And what do you think about Jack Porter? Do you agree that he was the most boring character on the show? Or was he one of your favorites? If you like to share, tell me in your comments.